This is Salesforce Simplified, the podcast from Victoriam Solutions. Here's your host, Mike Boyle.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. Today, we'll be taking a look at managed services programs, and we'll be talking with Victoriam consultant Karen, who just happens to oversee AdVic's Thrive Managed Services program. Welcome, Karen. We're really glad to have you here with us today.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Excellent. So let's start right here. Tell us about some of the more common misconceptions about a managed services program and a managed services provider.
So some of the managed services misconceptions that I've seen are companies thinking that it's only for enterprise or large companies and that a smaller business or medium-sized business, it wouldn't fit their models. And I would have to disagree with that. And I think a large portion of the community would disagree with that. There are lots of benefits to having a managed service provider that would fit within those small to medium business models because we customize our solutions and our hours to kind of meet what your company's needs are.
You kind of touched on benefits a little bit. Can we just kind of drill down and talk a little bit about what some of the specific benefits of having a managed services provider would be?
Sure. Some of the benefits, again, if companies are concerned about cost, a managed service provider can actually provide you with a steady cost instead of being unprepared or having additional costs added in if you're leveraging your own in-house IT team. By having a managed service provider, you would know what those costs are monthly because we provide a monthly service for the hours that we will work with you. And so you know what that budget is going into it and you know how to plan accordingly. Some of the other benefits are you get proven experts. So you have a team of people, you'll have a person that's kind of dedicated to managing the relationship with you. And then behind that is a team of people who have worked across multiple industries, multiple business processes that can provide guidance and assistance along the way.
Well, we have a managed services program here at AdVic, and as I mentioned, it's called Thrive Managed Services. Within that program, how do you handle transitioning to managed services from an implementation standpoint?
So currently we have a 30-day transition plan where both the original implementation team as well as the Thrive team are engaged and communicating and sharing information to make it as smooth of a transition as possible. Some of that cost is not applied to the customer. We handle that internally. So it's no additional hours being used by the customer. And then during that process, the original team will kind of still, in the first 2 weeks, they will still kind of manage the relationship and providing any of the work while the Thrive team shadows and gets caught up to speed. And then over the next 2 weeks, the Thrive team would begin leading those discussions and handling any of the implementation or adjustments to the system with only pulling in the original implementation team as needed. We found that this 30 days kind of helps everyone get adjusted and help the customer feel confident that the new team is up to speed on what needs to be done. We are also looking into some other ways to get the Thrive team plugged in earlier with clients, so that way it makes the transition even smoother.
Let's talk about some of the services that Thrive Managed Services typically provides.
So depending on the length of engagement that you would sign up with us for, we have kind of different levels of services that we would provide. All clients would get administrative support. They would get training, development and integration if it's needed. If there's any assistance with data integrity or analysis, importing data, those types of things are kind of included with all of our managed service engagements. And then if you sign up for a longer term engagement with us, usually 6 months or longer, then we provide some additional things like we can help with the release management or assist with roadmap planning. We'll conduct what we call QBRs, so quarterly business reviews. We also try to work in health checks of your system to see if there's any areas of improvements or enhancements that we can make, because over time, people will add in automations, processes, et cetera, fields. And so we'll do kind of some audits just to make sure that your system is healthy and if there's any recommendations we can make to improve it. And then one of my favorites is doing ride-alongs with the end users. A lot of times people work directly with the stakeholders or whoever is managing the engagement from the client side. And while they may have a wealth of knowledge and it's great to work with them, I find that there's benefit in working with those end users directly without the main point of contact being involved. Sometimes they're a little bit more open and honest with what their feedback is on the system and what they would like to see in order to improve their user experience. So it helps to drive adoption.
Do you have any expectations between the client and your Thrive team?
Yes, we do. So from the Thrive team, the expectations for the that we would provide to the client is that you would have that dedicated point of contact, you know who to reach out to, and that overall you have a team of people that are supporting you behind the scenes. So while it may seem like you're only interacting with one or two people, there is still a team behind that is assisting with the project. We will be providing the client recommendations and, as mentioned, doing that roadmap planning and QBRs for those longer term engagements. And then from my perspective, since I oversee the Thrive program, I'm also doing check-ins on all of our clients to make sure that we're all holding to the standards that we expect to hold. From the client side, we expect the client to be engaged in providing information that's needed, helping to set priorities. We will definitely make recommendations on priorities. We expect the client to help set those because it's really up to you guys where you want your hours used in the different months. And then being able to get access to those stakeholders and end users would be the expectations from the client.
Let's kind of stay on this engagement thing here for a second. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but what could a Thrive client expect in the course of the engagement? And how do you handle the management of these engagements?
So what we plan on doing and what has successfully worked for us before is, again, I mentioned that single point of contact. And then what we have are monthly sprints. So you have a monthly contracted amount of hours. So let's say that's 40 hours a month. What we'll do is we'll build a sprint that will handle up to about, I'd say, we give a flex bucket of maybe like 10% of your monthly hours, just in case anything ad hoc comes up. Other than that, we're planning out the work that we can conduct during the month and within those hour estimates. And then as we work through with the client, we are pulling up, whether it's a weekly meeting or every other week meeting, we're pulling up that JIRA board to discuss the items that we've completed, other items that are in progress, anything new that might have popped in that we might need to rearrange what is in the sprint, and how can we best make sure that the client is getting what they need during the month based on their priorities.
I know I'm kind of just throwing this out at you because we didn't discuss this prior, but are there any particular pain points that typically come up with our clients that we help them with?
Pain points that I've seen are user adoption, lack of knowledge, maybe from any in-house team. They may have specific skill sets and there might be a need from the company to enhance the system by adding on additional processes or applications or integrations that maybe the internal team can't handle. And so we can provide assistance with those. One of the other pain points I have seen is lack of continuity or having turnover within your company. So you may have a dedicated admin or maybe someone who is helping assist with the administration of Salesforce, and maybe they need to go on maternity leave or they decide to move on to another job, or maybe they're not working out. By having a managed service provider already engaged with your team, while there is that transition period, we can keep things moving and keep that continuity without you guys losing any forward momentum and enhancements to your system.
To wrap it up, is there anything else that we should know about Thrive Managed Services?
One of my favorite things is building that relationship with the clients. I love getting to know my clients and getting to know their business and making sure that the services and solutions that we're providing are beneficial and have some sort of an ROI. I look forward to our weekly calls with our clients and just having a lot of fun with them. So I think it's definitely important to build those relationships, and that's something that our team definitely strives to do.
Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us today, Karen, and giving us all this great information about managed services programs, and in particular, AdVic's Thrive Managed Services Program. Thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
And if you would like to learn more about how AdVic's Thrive Managed Services program can help your business, visit our website. It's www.advictoriamsolutions.com. And this reminder, you can subscribe to AdVictoriam's Salesforce Simplified podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please consider giving us a 5-star review and comment on today's episode and other episodes as well. It helps us to spread the word about the podcast. I'm Mike Boyle from AdVictoriam. Thanks for listening. Our next episode is just around the corner.
You've been listening to Salesforce Simplified, the podcast from AdVictoriam Solutions.